What's the deal, YouTube? It's your boy Nxtgen 720, and I'm back with another video. And I have a special guest with me today. Shout yourself out, brother.
Bear Hugger 29.
Bear Hugger 29. Bear Hugger 29. So yesterday, if you guys don't know, I did a video on stating that is it fair to, how should I say, is it fair to call the Wii U a next generation console? And it wasn't a troll video. It was a serious question. And then Bear Hugger, I'm gonna leave a link to his channel down below. He did a video response to it and gave him his reasons. And well, like I said, what's up? Hold on one second. Okay, so anyway, so I'm gonna let him give. Well, actually, what I do is I will go first, and I let you, go off what I say. Okay. And the first, I'm gonna say this again. A lot of people look at me and think that I despise Nintendo. No, I don't. I hate with the way that Nintendo is now because, again, I'm 36 years old. I remember when Nintendo was great. I remember when Nintendo was the only console to own. If you couldn't afford the Sega Genesis, if you just had a Nintendo, you were fine. You know what I mean? Like I said before, back in the day, Nintendo, some of their greatest games were not, they were third-party games. Castlevania, Final Fight, all these great games, and like I said, that's what made at that time the NES better than the Sega Master System because they had strong third-party support. Okay, now here's the thing, like I said again, and a lot of people don't know. Maybe they may have just their first console may have been the PS3, the Wii, or the 360. Cool, I'm a little long in the tooth, but I feel as though Nintendo just stopped competing as far as hardware when it came to the GameCube. Now, and a lot of people use this rebuttal and say, well, the PS2 wasn't the most powerful console, but it won the sixth generation. You're absolutely right. And the reason that it won is because it had a lot of games. You know what I mean? And just because it wasn't the most powerful console, it was still a capable console. You understand that? It was still able to hold its own. There weren't games that didn't but the only one game I think was Rainbow Six that Ubisoft couldn't do on the PS2 for whatever reason. But the PS2 didn't miss any games, and that's when I think becomes an issue because I fell for the hype end of the day because like I said, you guys know I buy my consoles day one. Give a fuck what it is. I'm a faggot that loves gadgets, and I went out and I bought the Wii U day one. You know what I mean? I remember Reggie taking to the stage and they were saying, "Hey, no longer will you be left behind," and this, and I'm like, okay, fine, So, and again, I believe this is why the Wii U struggled and stumbled out of the gate because they put out a console, right? And the games that launched on the console, whatever the case, didn't look much better than what we've been playing for the last 7 to 8 years. Graphic-wise, don't get me wrong, and I do understand that launch games, doesn't determine the system's power. But even when the 360 and the PS3, even like I said, those games wasn't gorgeous, but we know that they could not be done on the PS3 and the 360, and I never really got that feel with the Wii U. And then, and then, like I said, and then it came with online, and the Nintendo friends were hyped and saying that, at least we don't have to pay for online, but I don't mind paying for a superior service. I'm going to say this right now. I don't mind paying for a good service. But they launched a console in 2012 that couldn't do the basic things that the original Xbox did in 2002 as far as online. Keep tracks of your wins, your losses, join session in progress. I mean, my God, they don't even have friend invites mandatory. Game invites, that's not even mandatory on the system. Voice chat is not mandatory on the system. Like I said, then it became like, I felt like, again, Nintendo with these policies that they are too busy worrying about, trying to be one's parent. Look, the biggest game that launched to date, kudos to those who like Mario Kart, for those who like that type of game, kudos to you. But even in that game, you don't have, voice chat during the game. You only can talk in the lobby and anything in your friends list. And then you got Nintendo fans saying, well, I'm okay with that. I want to talk to people. And like I said, if you continue to make excuses for them, then they won't get any better. And what was like to me was like the last straw, like one of the last straw. Why? Like I said, I don't trade in anything, bro. I have all my consoles dating back to the NES and Sega. I have everything still, but I got rid of the Wii U because I had bought two. I bought my wife one, and I bought myself one. But the reason why I got rid of the Wii U because I looked at the E3 last year, and and the game only besides one game I saw that was coming out was Bayonetta 2, and I couldn't justify. You know what? A 300 to my damn console. It's not about the money for maybe one game that I will play. Bayonetta 2. And don't get me wrong, the first one was okay. The first Bayonetta was okay, but again, it wasn't a AAA something to go choke shit out your mother about. It wasn't. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? I'm just being real. The first Bayonetta, and a lot of Nintendo fans, and they're just not being real. They can give a fuck about Bayonetta last year or last generation. But now this is on the Nintendo, and it's all about Bayonetta. It's the greatest thing since sliced bread. That's not like come on. And again, I say now all the games they announce. Like I don't care about Smash Brothers. I don't care about the Mario games. But they're okay. But that they don't hold my interest. I'm not knocking those that like them. That's just not my cup of tea. Like I felt like I've grown up, but Nintendo has not grown up with me. It's the same. Like how many times are you going to save the princess? But I'm gonna cut this off. What I'm saying right here. Then like I said, they. And here's the thing. I understand about the Wii U with third-party support. That's what I understand about their fans because they try and say they want these third-party games. I'm gonna say this. They bitch when they don't come to their system, but when their games do come to their system, like you take the last Resident Evil game, I think it sold like 90,000 copies or something like that worldwide. I don't understand why you guys cry for third-party support when the games come out. You don't support the system. You know what I mean? Then you see what EA is a conspiracy, and they was talking about this whole conspiracy shit when they didn't put a Crisis on the Wii U, and I'm looking from a business standpoint. Looking at the EA, they say, damn, why the hell would they put Crisis 3 on the Wii U when the beta version of Call of Duty outsold the Wii U versions? Like I said, that doesn't make any sense. But then it becomes a problem when you put out here you go, quote unquote, a next generation console. Here it is now that can't run any next generation engines fully. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about something being scaled on a modified version. That's when the developer has to start changing their focus on how they want a game to be. To like not even so much that you had the new Batman game, right? And that can't be done on the Wii U. Like I said, you released the console for your 8th generation. That's going to once these developers stop supporting the PS3 and the 360. You know what I mean? As long as they still support that, maybe the Wii U would have had a chance with some third-party support. Maybe, you know what I mean? But once they go away from that, start using Unreal or the Unreal Engine 4 and what do you call it? The Snowdrop engine, all these new engines stuff that can't be done in the Wii U. So there's a whole shitload of games that the Wii U is not even going to get. And then your GPU that they chose for whatever reason, even Square Enix said the reason they won't bring Kingdom Hearts, whatever, because the GPU was in my DirectX 10 equivalent, even though they don't use DirectX, but what I'm saying. But with some, DirectX 11 features. But again, I don't understand why would they would go with something that's permanent DirectX 10. You know what I mean? Like Bethesda said best, like Nintendo made their console for them and fuck everything, fuck everybody else. And I think, again, that's you need more than Mario and Princess Peach, man, at the end of the day, man. But you can chime and give me your thoughts.
Wow, okay, where to begin? Well, I guess from a third-party standpoint, I guess I'll get that out of the way first, because that's more of a bigger debate topic.
Okay.
As far as third-party goes, yeah, I never really understood why a lot of third-party developers don't like Nintendo's platform all too much. Well, I mean, I guess in a sense, it's probably got something to do with obviously the lack of power. I mean, that's obviously the first set of mind that a lot of people automatically assume and come to and usually live by what a lot of developers say themselves, saying, oh, this engine can't run on this said platform or whatever the case may be. But I mean, like Crytek, for example, Crytek has already came out and stated that a game like Crysis could run. They've already had it on a system before, or on the Wii U system itself before, but just for some reason they don't see any marquee value behind that game or releasing it for the Wii U, which also leads to the fact that a lot of third-party developers don't like releasing their games for the Wii U.
Hold on a second. What Crysis are you talking about? The one for Crysis 3?
Yeah.
I mean, okay. Well, here's the thing. Now, let's just be fair. Crysis 3 is on the PS3 and the 360, so we know that's not the issue. That's not the issue
as far as the Nxtgen Crytek engine, though. There you go. I have no idea.
That's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Now, anything that anything that the PS3 and the 360 can get, the Wii U can get, because again, it's a more powerful console than than current gen machine. No one's saying that. You know what I mean? On paper, it's a more powerful console. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, when you're going into the stuff that's to come out, That's when I think you have the issue. But yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, bro.
Oh no, 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 not a problem at all. Another thing is too, as well, is that like a lot of developers, I don't think, have really actually even attempt or tried. Outside from a few of them have actually come out and stated publicly wise that certain engines can or cannot run on the Wii U that are next gen engines, like Unreal 4, for example. I think if Epic really wanted to, they probably could, because I mean the Unreal Engine is a very scalable engine. But the problem is, it really depends on A, if they want to, or B, how good would the game actually look as like a next gen game, and then like lowering it down to texture quality wise, resolution wise, taking out some extra features as well. I mean, we've already seen that with past consoles too, as well, like the Wii, for example, for Call of Duty, right? I mean, Call of Duty Modern Warfare Reflex came out until like what, 4 years after the original one came out.
Okay, so let me ask you a question as a Nintendo fan. Let me ask you a question as a Nintendo fan. I know you, like you said, for the record, you said the Wii U was the only console that you own. So I know right now that you were a Nintendo.
For the time being, yeah.
Okay. Now, as a Nintendo fan, that doesn't bother you. That here now, I'm not saying that the Wii U has to be the most powerful console. The only thing is at least be a capable console. You know what I mean? Unreal Engine 3, like I said, the PS3 and the 360, they don't run the full engine of Unreal Engine 3. I understand that, and I'm not saying that. But, if, again, here you have the Unreal Engine 4, if they had to take out key components, what makes it the Unreal Engine 4? You know what I mean? And then, again, like, that doesn't, again, that right there, I don't understand. Like, I felt like Nintendo put out the Wii U not to compete with the PS4 and the Xbox One. Because let's be honest here. We're not in the industry. This is a hobby for us, and we talk about speculations. I'm not saying Nintendo may have not known Sony's and Microsoft full specs, but they knew what, what was, you put, here it is, they went with 1 gig of RAM. Your biggest competitors that have 8 gigs of RAM. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like I said it again, like, and so you put out a console with an 8 gig hard drive. You know what I mean? Like I said, like, I don't, like, it's me, I just feel like for Nintendo to be the godfather, grandfather of gaming, I can't take that from them. It wasn't Atari for me. It was the NES that ushered me into gaming. You know what I mean?
Yeah, same here, yeah.
It wasn't, I never had an Atari. My first console ever was the NES. And to me, they should be leading the industry. They shouldn't be so far behind the curve. Like, prime example, I bought a Wii U day one. I went out, like I said, I bought games especially for the Wii U, like Assassin's Creed 3, and I didn't get it for the 360. I got it for the Wii U so I can have something to play on the console. Because I'm not, even though I bought Mario stuff for my wife, I'm not big into Mario. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so and a lot of people say, you know what? Who buys Nintendo consoles for third party? Like shit. Like what? And again, where did this thought come from? Like I said, I remember when Nintendo had all the third party support, and I'm going by what they said. And believe it or not, the Wii U launch was stellar. I mean, it launched with Assassin's Creed 3, Darkstalker, all these great third party multiplayer games. You know what I mean? Whether they came out a year or whatever earlier on another console, there were a lot of Nintendo fans that never played these games. You know what I mean? What I mean? So again, like you can't. Even look at what Ubisoft saying that they're going to hold back games. And like I said, you see Nintendo fans, they want these games when they come out, they don't go out and support them. But like I said, that's another story in its entirety. But again, they put out the Wii U, and again, you have the Wii U, right? And then you have and so I'm not saying it's okay to be different. It's okay to be different, okay? It's okay to be, to do your own thing. But at some point, you have to be able to compete and still offer something different. You know what I mean? So like here and putting it up to the Xbox One and the PS4, it's pale in comparison. You know,
it does, yep.
And that right there again is that's a big issue of mine, because you're asking me for $300 for this console. How much does Wii U cost? $300? No, $350. How much is the Wii U?
$300 right now. Yeah, they dropped it down $50 there a while back.
Okay, so it's $300 for $100 more. And all I can listen, and like I said, between now and what Christmas, what do you guys have? 5 games, 6 games that are coming out?
As far as ones that have been revealed so far, yes, but I still think there's going to be a lot more coming that has yet to be announced yet.
Exclusives or multi-platform or whatever?
Could be a combination of both. We'll just have to wait and see.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever the case may be. But your library, not even talking about next generation consoles, we're talking about even the PS3. It fails in comparison to what they're getting. So you want me to pay $300 just to pay your games? That's it. Basically, was what I'm getting. Now, what if I don't care? What if I don't care about Mario games like that? You know, I'm
Yeah.
just being real. I mean, look at to me. I think that Nintendo. Well, fuck this. I'm gonna call a spade a spade. I mean, and listen, I'm not gonna pussyfoot around here. How long Zelda's been out? I'm just saying, how long Zelda's been? Zelda's been out how many years?
Oh
20.
God. Yeah, 20 plus years.
Why has not that game evolved? Why doesn't Link fucking talk? You know what I mean? Their next intervention, like, I'm just being real. Like, you know, we talk about smoking guns, and it's being real. When Nintendo showed the tech demo for Zelda that we saw in 2011, am I right? And
Yeah.
okay, fine. And if I could have got graphics like that, I'd have been fine. You know, I'm not saying this all. If I could have had it, but we all know that the Wii U cannot achieve those type of level of graphics there. It's, you know, then they showed up with it. They had Zelda look like a homosexual. Like, who the fuck is this Lisa? This Link? Like, what the fuck was that? You know, like, you know, so I'm like, God damn, Nintendo. I'm like, God, this motherfucker, they got a Link out there looking like Boy George and shit, man. Like, tell
Yeah.
me, do you?
I saw a lot of debates about that too as well after that E3 digital event.
Yes, I'm like, and again, like, then even with the whole E3 digital event thing, man. Like, I mean, come on, man. And people try to spin this or whatever the fuck. Like, you know, E3 is all about the present. It's for the fans. It's for us. It's for, you know what I mean? Like, you want to see your big company on the stage there and doing their thing, dueling it out with either Microsoft and with Sony. And you know why they don't take the stage? And you can say, well, I'm going to give you my, you know why? Because Nintendo doesn't have enough content, enough stuff that's coming on their platform to fill up for a 90-minute show. That show was 27 minutes long.
40 minutes, I believe.
Well,
I mean, if you cut out the talking in between.
Yes, it was 27 minutes long. It was about 27 minutes long, without the little reginator and the little skits and stuff. I mean, I'm just being real. Like, again, Nintendo, you need. Well, this is my opinion. But even look, they don't even let you do midnight releases for their game. There's no midnight launches for no Nintendo games. Why is that though?
I have no idea. That's actually a good question. I have no idea why they haven't.
Like,
well, I think some places do. I think
no,
some places.
Nintendo doesn't allow it. They don't allow it. They, you know, I'm not talking about some mom and pop store. I don't know, but I'm just talking about games. Best Buy. You know, these. You know, they don't allow midnight releases for their stuff. You know what I mean? And because the demographic, they don't want kids out there that late. And to me, until Nintendo, how should I say, get rid of. They need some new blood. I'm just sorry. They need new, fresh ideas. They need something new because that shit, you know, like I said, I'm a grown ass man. You know what I mean? If I want, you know, why is game advice not mandatory on that platform? I want to play with you. The reason why I got a Wii U now, talk to all my subscribers. You know, I'm a big NBA 2K fan. I got NBA 2K. I got the Tech, and I got the Mac. I got all those games, and I could even send my friends an invite. I had to search by chance. We had to hit search at the same time. Hope we found each other. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, it's. I'm not really exactly 100% sure why Nintendo creates their infrastructure as far as their online is concerned to kind of like give it down a lot. I'm not quite sure why they do that.
You know why? I mean, listen, come on, listen, because they try to, I guess, call themselves quote unquote protecting the kids, and all that's very noble. But again,
yeah,
I remember they hopped on what's the NetherRealm Studios. They do the Mortal Kombats and stuff. When Injustice come out, the Wii U version didn't have a lobby, right?
Yeah.
And I remember reading a tweet, you know, from Ed Boy. He said, third party shits on Nintendo fans again. The Wii U version of this game, it doesn't have a lobby, right? And they did all that shit, but it doesn't have a lobby. And I'm reading this tweet. It says, you know, that Nintendo, and again, I'm gonna say this: the Wii U can support lobbies and stuff. You know what I mean? It can have voice chat. It's able to do all that things, but. Yeah. You will have to, if you're a third party, you will have to go in and do the work for it. Now, as far as Microsoft and Sony, the way Ed Boon explained it is that here is you have a lobby, like Nintendo. I'm sorry, well, you have Sony and Microsoft. They built the ground level, so it's easy for them just to get attached to the lobby too. Nintendo doesn't have that. They want you to go in there, build the groundwork, then attach the lobby, and which is not fair. The games that do have a lobby and all that stuff, you know, like Activision and, you know, Capcom, I don't know whether Nintendo paid them or not. They went out their way and did that shit. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But I'm sorry, but this is your show. So tell me why do you consider the Wii U a next generation console? Why?
It's an improvement over Nintendo's last gen console. It's vastly better. Even the Wii itself got flack for that for many, many years, through the entire generation that the Wii was out. I remember so many people, articles from journalism themselves, video people like that would actually do videos on YouTube and whatnot stating that the Wii is not a next-gen console, blah, blah, blah. Dude, it's like lack of power, not, rising up to the HD resolution like Microsoft and Sony did last gen and everything else like that. But that's not what defies a next-generation console. What defies a next-generation console is once last gen or whatever the previous console that they had is done and out of the way, and they do come out with their next console, whether it be underpowered or like what Sony has with their system, or in between what Microsoft has, it's still considered a next generation system from that said company. So PS4 being Sony, Xbox One being Microsoft, and the Wii U being Nintendo's platform. Because if it did go strictly by power and power only, then people would say the same thing about the PS2, same thing about the actual, and so on and so forth kind of deal between like the actual consoles, whatever the weakest one was for that time frame.
Okay, now
that's how generation has always been defined.
Okay, so this is what you're saying. Long as the Wii U was more powerful than the Wii. Now, here's the thing. Now, if I can, you know what, bro, and listen, that is your opinion, and I respect your opinion. But I can see if the Nintendo was competing with themselves, and fine. But when you also competing against your biggest competitor, and Nintendo said we don't do well at competing, I think that's a bunch of bullshit. That's fucked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not, like I said, bro. Again, I'm saying this again. It's not always about power. It's not. But again, you should be a capable system. Now, just listen, bro. Now, listen. Now, resolution. Like I said, I've always said, and again, resolution does not determine graphics. And why we know that, because the Rise on the Rome, awarded best real-time graphics. Okay, whether you like the game or not, and that game there is only 900p. Beat out Infamous Second Son, beat out Killzone, beat out all those other games. Okay, and then check it out. And that game Rise was only done on one core. You know what I mean? Now, it wasn't done with and like I said, and once these developers come more accustomed to the hard, whatever the case may be, then like I said, I can't wait to see what this future holds down the line for, the PS4 and the Xbox One. But now, with that being said, I'm not saying that the Wii U has to be the most powerful. No. I've never said that, and like I said, to me, it was about power. I have 2 gaming rigs. I can, I will play on PC. But I do expect my console of choice at least to be a capable system. When you start getting games that can't run on your console because your hardware is not up to snuff, that's when I think it becomes a problem. It's okay that you didn't gotta be like, once again, like I said before about the PS2, it was not the most powerful console. The GameCube was more, it was a more capable system than the PS2, but the PS2 didn't miss any game. It didn't miss any games because like I said, it was a capable system. And again, like I said, and again, what I determined, like I said, when people say, well, the Wii was next generation because of the, the tablet controller. We've been playing on tablets, it's just the iPhone and an iPad. So like I said, that's not nothing new, what I mean? And I think even as far as that, Nintendo choose to get their system, to keep the cost down, to include the tablet control. What they should have done is put in a beefier GPU, more RAM, and sold the tablet as an extra peripheral and made a game that fully utilizes that tablet controller, like the Wii Balance Board or whatever the hell, you know what I mean? And sold it as an extra peripheral because they came over the game, because I have several tablets, and then they came over the game that fully utilizes the Wii tablet and made it like a fully functional tablet, fully touchscreen, let you put some apps on the motherfucker, take it outside, I think that would have been dope. You know what I mean? But to me, I think they did it more as a gimmick. You say, hey, we have this tablet controller. They should have, like I said again, they cut back on their system specs. Like, here's what I'm saying, bro. At the end of the day, you have a whole shitload of games that's never going to come to the Wii U because the Wii U's GPU and it's not powerful enough to run these games. And I think that is fucked up, bro. Like, Jesus, I'm never going to get the new Batman game on the Wii U. You know what I mean? And that's using Unreal Engine 3. You know what I mean? You're never going to get, even this is not my thoughts, these are out of Square Enix mouth, they're not going to get the what's that shit, Kingdom Hearts and stuff because of the Wii U's GPU is not DirectX 11 equivalent. And this is what Square Enix said. You know what I mean? For fans, and again, I said again, and this is the generation that we in. Now, DirectX 11's been out for a while. Why would the hell would they put out a console in 2012 with the, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not saying the Wii U uses DirectX 10, but it's a DirectX 10 equivalent with some of DirectX 11 features. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I don't know why that choice right there. Like I think, like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So, did they really put out the Wii U to compete with the Xbox One and the PS4, or they put it out to compete with the PS3 and the 360? Like, I feel like the Wii U was 7 years late to the HD party, man.
Yeah, I think as much as most people, as you just mentioned, about the fact that you find it bullshit that Nintendo likes to compete by themselves, they've somewhat always done that in a sense, minus the Sega Genesis, of course, because that's when gaming was new and started coming around more with the NES and the Master System, and then same goes with the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. But when everything changed, when Sony came into play, not Microsoft, sorry. Nintendo stuck with cartridges, which cost more money for developers to make manufacture games on, whatever you want to call it, and it was less expensive for Sony to make those, for the games to be published on their system, whatever you want to call it, because it was a lot cheaper for them. And Nintendo kind of messed themselves over on that aspect. Same goes with the GameCube. A lot of developers didn't like the size of the game disc itself, because remember, DVDs was a huge thing on the PS2, right?
Yeah.
So Nintendo kind of went in alone again that generation with the GameCube. And don't get me wrong, GameCube, it was a great console, and it had amazing fucking quality of games on there. I mean, even though it was lacking a lot from what the PS2 had, but it had a damn good library.
But listen, check it out. Even games of back in the sixth generation, they used DVD discs. You know what I mean? They didn't. Those games, first of all, they go compressed onto the disc, so they didn't fill out the whole disc. But again, what fucked up Nintendo again were their policies. They could have had Grand Theft Auto 3.
Oh, yeah, they've always had negative policies.
Listen, before Grand Theft Auto was Grand Theft Auto, I remember, oh my God, listen, if I can find it on YouTube, I forgot what channel it was on, or it was a talk show. Nintendo didn't want that type of game on their platform. Far as, that's when Grand Theft Auto went 3D, Grand Theft Auto 3, they didn't want that type of game on their platform, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, because like I said before, Rockstar was Rockstar, the Rockstar that they are, now, you know what I mean? They didn't want that type of game on their platform. And their policies, like, you do have adults, that play your games, It's cool. Look at the law they had over there in Europe, that you couldn't have downloaded a mature game if it was before, not before 11 o'clock at night. And here it is, well, your biggest competitors, again, whether Sony and whether it's Microsoft, they're not doing that. You know what I mean? So, some of their policies alone turn a lot of people off from that system.
Yeah.
They don't want you to live stream. Like, come on, they don't want you to do any twitching.
I think like Nintendo just likes doing things their own way, I think. Even though it does kind of mess over the fans that do support I support third-party games on every platform. Doesn't matter what platform I get. Because that was the first thing that I did when I bought the Wii U. I bought Zombie U and a whole bunch of other stuff that was published by third parties, of course. I'm not one of those Nintendo fans out there that will only ever buy Nintendo-related games. No, I mean, if anything, Nintendo's usually always the first console I always buy at the beginning of a generation, with the exception of last gen, because it was extremely impossible to find a Wii U, or the Wii itself, sorry, I should say, for the first 3 freaking years on the market. But when I did buy it, eventually, at the time I was already owning an Xbox 360 at the time, and I was gaming mostly on that for a while. Then I also gamed on the Wii U, or the Wii itself. I don't know why I keep saying Wii U. I apologize for that. Sorry about that. And then PS3 eventually got that too as well. So eventually I always own all multi-console platforms. But to get back to what you were talking about in the sense of what Nintendo does and why they do it so poorly, I don't know. I really think they just like doing it by themselves. And most people who do eventually buy a Nintendo product, it's usually always as their second base console, because they get all their third-party experiences and the first-party experiences from Sony or Microsoft's platforms, and then they go to Nintendo for exclusive content stuff, right?
All right. But
for example, the Wii U, for example, when we got games well, not so much Hyrule Warriors, because that game is not going to be a huge selling game, but it's going to do a lot better than the previous entries of the normal Dynasty Warriors franchise. But games like Bayonetta and Devil's Third, those are games that are going to be strictly on Nintendo's platform. So a lot of people are going to go out and buy the Wii U, or that already have one and have a PS4 or an Xbox One, or all three for that matter,
just to play.
Are going to buy those games.
Just to play Bayonetta.
Yeah. I mean,
just to play Bayonetta. Like BN's not a huge sell, but it sold maybe 2 million copies between the PS3 and the Xbox.
True that, yeah, but I think it's the mentality, the fact that it's only on Nintendo's platform, but on top of you getting 2 games for the price of 1, right? And with a game like Devil's Third, which was, I mean, we already seen that game a long, long time ago. I think it was during one of Sony's press conference or Microsoft's press conference a long ass time ago, and then nothing. And then Nintendo just like out of nowhere last month, and they had that interview right after the actual direct. Boom, they announced it for the Wii U and Wii U only. I think if Nintendo, I'll tell you one thing right now. Nintendo is definitely starting to improve a lot more on things, slowly but surely, but they are starting to make a lot of fundamental changes. They got rid of a lot of crappy fucking bullshit policies. They're starting to make more of an effort to go to developers and fund said projects. Like Bayonetta, for example, right? Sega already ditched on that. Microsoft didn't hesitate to get that game for their system. Neither did Sony, which to me is kind of like, okay. And then Nintendo comes out of nowhere, a company that never saw the first game on their last generation platform, comes out of nowhere, funds this project, and then the whole fucking internet uproars about it, right? Twitter, and they're threatening to fucking, I even saw people threatening to kill fucking the employees of Nintendo for that game, right? Yeah. But the funny thing is, what they don't realize is that you shouldn't be bitching at a company that's funding a project. You should be bitching at the company that didn't fund that said project, that wants to have that game on your beloved platform. Which is why I appreciate Nintendo for what they're doing now in the sense, because with them going to third parties, even though they only have 2 under their sleeves right now as far as exclusive third-party games, there's going to be more of that coming out. Even with the lack of next-gen games, which I do agree with, because I think a lot of engines might not be able to run all too well on their system, but there could also be other reasons behind that theory too as well, right? Because if you look at Ubisoft, they're holding on to certain games. We already know that Watch Dogs is already supposed to be coming out, legitimately supposed to be coming out, but no release date yet. And when the CEO, Yves Guillemot, I think his name was, or something like that, if I'm saying that correctly, came out and stated that, we want to wait until the install base gets bigger. And from a standpoint, I can agree with that because a lot of developers know that a lot of Nintendo fans don't buy third-party content. Why? I have no idea. That's the gamer's choice. I don't think it has anything to do with Nintendo and the theory of, blaming them on the reason why third-party developers don't come to the system.
But Nintendo, and listen, I'm just being real. Nintendo hasn't always had the best reputation when it came to third-party.
No, yeah. I was getting to that. That was my next point.
They were very, 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 with their nose, with their head up their ass. They were really. When Nintendo was the shit. I mean, you couldn't even put out so many games on the NES. You had to wait a certain time period. Like, they were really fucked up.
Seal of approval.
Yeah, you know what I mean? They was really, which is, they kept a lot of shovelware off the floor. Don't get me wrong, not every game on the NES was great, okay? I'm not going to say that.
No, God, no.
Every console has their fair share of shovelware. But let me tell you something, bro. And yesterday was the first time I ever spoke to you. I don't, and nice guy. I like the video that you did. I subscribed to your channel.
Appreciate that.
And the reason why I decided to do this video with you today, you know why? And you said to me, and I'm gonna tell you why. You might even notice that I listened to your video and you said that right now you only own the Wii U.
Yeah.
Okay. Guess what? If I only own the Xbox One or if I only own the PlayStation 4, I'm fine. You do understand that? And
yeah, of course.
The case for Nintendo. When did Nintendo become this way? You understand? Like again, a lot of people don't understand this. I'm gonna say this again, and I will say it again. And when I say this, I know I'm showing that I'm a little longer in the tooth. Nintendo was the place to go. You understand that?
Yeah, well, because developers had nowhere else to go. I mean,
you had the Genesis. You had the Genesis,
But I mean, like, but if you look at it from the perspective of the Genesis and the Super Nintendo, they were both on cartridges, right? And then when Sony came into the picture, that all changed.
Yep. But why again? Why is that? Or why again? And only person up front that they lost was Square Enix. Because they wanted to do little fancy little cutscenes and all that stuff, which was cool. You know what I mean? But why is Nintendo? Why do they want to hold? I feel like they want to hold the generation back as far as technology. Here it is, we're moving forward. We have DVD, we have CD, we got DVD. Instead of moving forward, and we're gonna stay here on cartridge, which they're expensive as fuck. I remember paying $70 for Mike Tyson's Punch-Out on the NES back in the day.
I remember doing the same for Final Fight as well, man.
Yeah, cartridges are very, very expensive. People bitching out about paying $60 for a game. I remember paying $75 for a fucking cartridge back in. Back in day,
you can do more nowadays with collector's editions
but I'm just saying, and what DVDs and stuff were way a lot more cheaper, so
exactly.
It can hold more data, and I don't understand Nintendo's thought process. Like I said, maybe they may need some newer, younger, fresher blood, to steer the company into the future. Because I mean, it's being real. I don't know your financial situation, but you said when you be able to afford it, you're going to get another console, right? But
Yeah.
again, not many people can only afford just to pay $300 just to play. Even though how much you may love Mario, but if you don't have it, so here's the thing: I would rather play. I would rather. I say this all the time. I would rather play a AAA exclusive than a bullshit. I'm sorry. I would rather play a AAA multiplayer than a bullshit exclusive any day of the week. You know what I mean? I look at this. I don't look at it as far as I look at the game as being a game. Now I have. How many times am I going to play Mario? You know what I mean? Like, God damn, it's cool. I jumped over the turtle. I got the power up. Like, how many fucking times? You know what I mean? Like, like I'm just saying, like you take a game, like you take a franchise like Zelda, like one of the first RPGs or whatever you want to call it, whatever adventure game, whatever the fuck you want to label Zelda as. Like, that game should have evolved. You understand that? And it has not. Like, come on, man.
The way Nintendo evolves their games is not from a full-on existence. I'm trying to work as best I can. The way they evolve their franchises is that they try to make every game in the series play differently. Like, if you look at like Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, and 3, right? Each game was side-scrolling platforming games, but each one played different to the last one, right? Like Mario Brothers looked different to Mario 2, Mario 2 looked different to Mario 3. And then it's the same thing when you go to Super Mario World. A lot of similarities are still there, yeah, but each game still plays out fundamentally different. It's the same goes when you go to the N64, right? You go to Mario 64 to Mario Sunshine, two vastly different experiences as far as Mario goes. Sure, it still has the same storyline. That's common in all Mario games, same as with Zelda, but each one still plays out differently to give you a different experience each time. Like if you look at Skyward Sword to Twilight Princess, right? Two different games, still the same character, still the same universe, but the stories are different in Skyward Sword, where it is different to Twilight Princess. Each story is different as far as the Zelda franchise goes, even the handheld ones included. When you look at games like Mario, on the other hand, like I said, Mario has definitely evolved, but most people look at Mario as a character, or they look at the character, but also in conjunction with he's in everything, right?
Okay.
So I mean, you look at like I said, Mario 64 to Sunshine, two different experiences.
Okay.
Sunshine to Galaxy, two different experiences.
All right.
With the exception of a game like New Super Mario Brothers Wii and like the DS one and the U one. The reason why Nintendo launched that game as a launch title is because of how successfully good the first one sold on the Wii, and also sold on the DS. So it made sense for Nintendo to make that choice.
All right.
However, with them making 3D World, at least from a casual standpoint, I think a lot of the casuals were confused by that game because they looked at it from
so you
HD upgrade.
Like, I mean, again, so the Wii U's been out how many years now? I mean, it came out in 2012.
It's gonna be.
Okay, so I got a Mario game in 2012. I got two Mario games in 2013. Like, god damn, I got Luigi U. I got Super Mario. Like, come on.
Luigi U is not really a full-fledged game though. It's just it was a add-on.
I get it, but I was like, but at the end of the day, but here's the thing. Now, what I don't understand when I'm talking about this company involving, you will put local multiplayer in the game, but give me no online multiplayer. Do you know how dope Mario made it be? We can sit down and make co-op. You go your turn, and mine go like you do back in the day.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, I'm a full believer in having a game that definitely, if it comes with both, I'm happy with that. But if it's online only, I'm not a fan of that. Only because I look at it for a game that I could see myself playing like 20 or 10 or 15, 20 years down the road, and popping it in, and then the online server is either a barren wasteland or the online becomes nobody wants to play it anymore. So then the game just turns out to be nothing more than a half-ass game for me in the long run. Where a game like Mario Kart 8 is a prime example of where it's got both, right? You got both online. Hell, you can even play two players online if you want to, which is kind of cool. But I like it in the sense that 20 years from today, when Nintendo shuts down like their fucking Wii U service, I can still play Mario Kart, and enjoy a multiplayer experience with my friends at home, or with my nephew, or my family, or something along the lines of that.
I get that, but all games go offline. So I mean, that's fine. You're not getting rid of the single player aspect of the game, or what I mean. But again, do you know how many fans, bro? That would make me tempted to, if I can if I could play Mario maybe, and online and talk.
Oh yeah, I agree. If Mario 3D World had an online component along with an offline, that would have been awesome.
I'm just saying, but they will put out a game with local multiplayer. Like what's that new game you got coming out? Splatoon?
Hyrule Warriors?
No, Splatoon or something.
Yeah, Splatoon's got a 4-player online co-op. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but before it got announced, they was debating about putting the shit in, and they were talking about voice chat. Like, that is a no-brainer. Like, it's
Yeah.
2014. Why is that still even being discussed? That's what I don't understand. And when I'm talking about the reason why I have problems calling the Wii U a next generation console, because it don't even have current shit that should be there. Like,
Well,
come
no, they
on.
still got current stuff. I mean, they're still doing a lot of the things that Sony is doing. They're just severely lacking in it, though. But I mean, I think from a
Like
standpoint,
multiplayer, voice chat, like that's been going on since
yeah, as
2002.
far as the voice chat goes, for what you brought up earlier, when you first started this
Yeah,
podcast, the fact of Mario Kart 8 only having,
game chat. Yeah,
private voice chat.
yeah.
Me, as far as the game goes, it's like in-game voice chat. That would get really annoying hearing a lot of people
Okay,
just like running their mouths
that's you.
talking shit.
Okay, that's you.
Because it's the same thing when I play a game like Call of Duty, right?
Okay, all
I'm
right.
not really a huge fan, but it's a guilty pleasure to play them.
Okay,
When I play that stuff, when I go in there and I hear people talking on the microphone who I don't know or whatever you want to call it, they automatically go
okay.
mute. So that
All
kind of
right,
stuff.
all right.
However, I will agree with you on one factor, though. I do think that if Nintendo was smart, they should come out with some form of party chat. Well, what Microsoft does, right? Or what Sony does now on their current gen console.
But not even so much as that. You do have the option to turn that off. You don't want to talk to nobody. But give me the option. How do you meet new friends? I mean, if you can't talk to, how are you never going to become friends
Well,
with the
a
person?
game that got it right so far that's been on the Wii U right now that I never see anybody ever talk about in the sense was Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. That had lobbies, it had voice chat game, and
I said that.
everything else like that.
I said the game that Capcom has, the lobby, and I was talking about Call of Duty. Those are two games I was talking about at the beginning.
Yeah, Call of Duty has it too as well. Yeah,
yeah. You know
I
what I
do
mean?
think that Nintendo, as far as Nintendo's own products go, I mean, I find it a little bit odd that they do skip on a lot of that stuff, but I mean,
Yeah, but give me the option.
all
You know?
speculation as to
Yeah,
why. Yeah, I mean, having an option there is a physical option to allow people to have enabled voice chat through like the actual online portion. I
you
guess
don't want to talk to
people
this
want it,
person.
they want it, right?
Yeah, if you want, I mean, it's again, what one person eats doesn't make me shit. But again, if you want to go and give me, I'm not gonna mute everybody in the lobby if I want to talk to nobody. But you know what? I feel like, man, hey guys, like, come on, man. You know what it is when you first get a game and you guys are sitting down, you're talking in the lobby how great this game is, or how great this certain board is, what map you guys want to play, or what round you want to go. Like, how are you going to communicate and meet new people if you can't? They don't give me the options to talk to anybody. That's what I'm saying.
Well, there is Miiverse, which I know that's.
Like, come on, I gotta leave my game, go way back to the dashboard. Like, come on.
You don't even have to go back to your dashboard.
You can use the Miiverse while you playing the game now.
Yeah, you can multitask.
Oh, well, okay. Well, I haven't been on the Wii U about a year now, but okay. All right.
Yeah, I can open up Miiverse in the background and say, okay, I can post in the
okay.
actual Nintendo Mario Kart.
Okay.
Section. Hey, anyone want to play?
Okay, but again, the Miiverse fine, but that should be in the game. That should be mandatory. Like, it's hard to me. I'm gonna give it, like I said, you do have your reasons, but I'm saying it's like I said. When I feel like when I get on the Wii U, it felt like I'm taking a step back because again, it can't do the basic shit that I've been doing on the PS3 and the 360 for the last 7 to 8 years. That's what
Yeah. I know a lot of people want to see that kind of stuff, and I agree. I definitely agree. I think the online should definitely be better on the Wii U, but for what it is right now, it's. For me, for myself as a gamer, to be honest with you, for me as a gamer myself, it's something that I would like to see the improvements happen. Is Nintendo going to actually go ahead and do any of those improvements? It's difficult to tell because they can do a lot of firmware updates and whatnot to come out with different features and new features down the road. It's possible. I mean, I know they're already working on. I don't know 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure they're going to work on something to find some way as far as cross-buy goes in order to get or uplift that biggest thing that everybody hates about the Wii U is the fact that all your games are locked to the said system and not to your Nintendo Network ID. I think they're actually.
You know what? Nintendo still. I'm glad you said that because Nintendo stole me fucking money. You know that, bro? That I bought. Like I said, I bought games, downloaded when it. What's that shit? The AM game. What's that? What's the name? What the fuck is the game? Arcade game. When the Wii U launched, it was like an organism or something. He was going around and shooting Nano Assault, some shit like that. I bought that. I bought Trine. I bought another game. And you guys don't know, like I said, my Wii U tablet was dysfunctional. And basically, that's the system. I couldn't do, I had, even though I had a Pro controller. But make a long story short, so I took I had store insurance through GameStop. I took the system back to GameStop, and they gave me a new system. I went home to log into my account. Zaire720. They tell me that my gamer tag is tied to another system. I said, okay, fine, fuck it. Make it Nxtgen 720, right? Okay, I
Yeah.
picked 720, right? And
Yeah.
then it tells me, so all the games that I downloaded, they tell me that, so whoever got what, I don't question, they don't fix the system and resold it. They got 3 free games because, again, Nintendo doesn't save games. They save them to your Mac address. Was the stupidest shit ever. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that
They
was something
save
that. Yeah,
again.
that's
So I'm
fuck.
on the phone. I'm on the phone with Nintendo. I'm on the phone with Nintendo, and I'm saying, hey, I bought these games, trying to go back and get my money back. They wanted me to send them my credit card receipt. I gave them my email. I was like, what the fuck is this? I still have yet to get back my money. I don't even give a fuck anymore. I don't have the system. But like, I can go buy any 360 or any PS3, any game that I download digitally. I have access to. So again, like I said, like always, like on the Wii U, it feels like I'm taking a step backwards because they can't even do this shit that the PS3 and the 360 is doing. So how the hell am I going to call this a next generation console when you can't even do the shit that the PS3 and the 360 is doing? It's okay to be different, but you can't even do the basic shit. So I'm like, God damn.
Yeah, that was one of the fundamental things that did piss me off about the Wii U itself. But I mean, if my system does break down, or if I have to send in to get it repaired or any of that sort, I'll definitely send it to them and then just get them to transfer my shit over to the new one. That's not the answer to it. I'm not saying that that's the proper way of doing it or anything like that.
Bro.
But at least it's something for now until they at least fix the actual problem, which I'm hoping that they fucking do. Yeah. I'm hoping that they eventually get around to fixing that issue, because that's the only gripe that I have with the system. I mean, outside from everybody, bitching, crying about the fact that it's underpowered, and the third-party thing I'm definitely a bit annoyed at, but I've gotten used to it over the years and over the generations, I should say.
Okay.
Because I mean, if you like, for example, you look at the Wii, right?
All right.
How many games that came out that were on the Wii itself that were also on, or actually, let me go ahead and rephrase that. How many games that came out on the PS3 or Xbox 360 that came out for the actual Wii? Barely any. I mean, outside from Call of Duty, which took a while to get on there, but eventually it did. No thanks to Treyarch.
I mean, they got their version. I mean, but here's the thing: it's a big difference, though. Okay, I get what you're going. Even though the Wii didn't get the same games, because again, the Wii wasn't powerful enough to run those games. I get that.
But it still had third-party support.
Yeah, exactly. It still had third-party support. Yeah. That's what I was going. It still had
in this case, as far as the Wii U goes, if the casual were actually on board, just like it was with the Wii, maybe not as big as the Wii, no, but if they released some there, right, and evidence for like. Saying what is the system selling right now? Like what, 7 million right now? I think grand total after Mario Kart 8 came out. I can't remember what the numbers are, but I know it's fairly low. However, with that said, of course,
7 million in 2 years. I mean, 2.5 years. That's not really that great.
Well, no, a year and a half, because the system's only been out for a year and a half now. I
came out 2012. In 2012, November 2012, November 2014 will be 2 years.
Oh wow, okay, so you're right. Yeah, it would have been 2 years. So with that said, of course. If the casual was on board, which is why I think Amiibos is definitely going to pull some of those, younger audiences in. What
game is that? You said what? What game is that?
It's not a game. Like those toys, Amiibos, the smart toys. Same thing.
Those Skylander stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Because I mean, given the fact that
all right. So
the Skylander games.
All right. So. I'm sorry, my mic is breaking up. Hold on 1 second, bro. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Talk. Say something, because I think you say something.
I was just going to say real quick that Skylander games always sell the most on platforms.
All right.
The Wii, the Wii U, or not Wii U yet, because there hasn't been one released yet on the Wii U, but
or
the handheld. However, so with that said, I do think that the actual Amiibos will push some of the casual market in, as far as younger audience who like those kind of games.
Okay.
And will also make the system sell fairly decent. And once more of the casual audience comes on board, we'll start to see more of third parties bringing out games. But it may not be next-gen games that you guys are getting on your said platforms, but at least be something.
All right, now. So this is what you're happy with. I can't wait till these little 8-year-old kiddies get their Skylanders come Christmas. That, like, come on, man. Like, you should want gamers on your play. Not 8-year-old kids. You should want some gamers. You should, this should be a game that come out that's going to make gamers want to go out and buy that platform, not Skylanders. Because again, those 8-year-old, they're not going to buy fucking Watch Dogs. They're not going to buy those same games again. So you're still right back in square. You still shoot yourself in the foot. You're right back at square one.
But it's still more units to be pushed, and developers are going to see.
I can care less in who buys the system. None of that money goes in my pocket. But what I'm talking about, the demographic of who's buying the console, their mom and dads are not going to buy them. You're still not going to get a Grand Theft Auto. I don't give a shit what.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. I mean, because
you're not going to. They're still not going to make Ubisoft put out Watch Dogs on your platform because you got 1 million 8-year-old kids that just bought the game. You know what I mean?
But in the sense, though, I mean, Nintendo's always been about a casual audience, right? They've always try to die for both, the Nintendo fan base, some core audience, believe it or not, and also mostly towards the casual crowd. The Wii was proof of that, but the Wii also ushered in a new form of gamers, right? Which is, more along the lines of the casual. The casual's always been there from day one. I mean, the NES had a shitload of its own. Sorry about that. That was my ear. Headphones snapping off there. But the actual, the Wii U had its own, or not the Wii U, sorry. The NES had its fair share of casual-oriented games.
Okay.
Same with every other platform. The problem is, the biggest flaw right now with the Wii U right now is, as much as I hate saying this though, but I'm kind of half and half with it, is the name change. The Wii U is definitely, I think, one of the fundamental reasons behind the lack of sales for the actual system, because a lot of casual gamers out there who bought a Wii are just looking at it as nothing more than an actual add-on peripheral.
Right. Okay.
And, but at the same time, like I said, I'm 50-50 with that, because I look at it, at least from my standpoint, because I'm an older gamer, so I look back at the old school days when the NES was, the Super NES, right? There was no confusion at that time period, but I'm looking at it from a wrong angle. If I look at it from the aspect of the new gamers that got ushered in from last generation, yeah, of course they're confused by it because they have no idea what the fuck it is. And that doesn't help with the fact that Nintendo has a very, very lack of advertising their shit. They've been getting better. Of course they've been getting better. Like Mario Kart 8, was they had a trailer attached to Godzilla. And that movie, did pretty goddamn well in the box office. So a lot of people saw that, and whatever you want to call it. And the sales automatically showed for it. Because, hell, it sold faster than what 3D World did. And 3D World got barely no advertising at all fucking period. So I think that's the fundamental flaw with the Wii right now. If Nintendo can definitely actually, they obviously can't change the name of it now because it's been on for 2 years. Or it's going to be on, or 2.5, sorry. And the fact is that they can't necessarily change it because it's going to yet alienate another market again. And they don't want to do that. So I think right now it's I think honestly they somewhat messed up to a degree, and now they're just going to play it out and that'll be it. And they'll be done with it. But at the same time, what they are going to do is, at least in my opinion, of course, this is not fact, people, it's just my opinion, I think Nintendo is definitely going to show support as far as third party goes, in the sense of going and getting these exclusive titles to get our system in order to make peace with a lot of the developers that they had problems with in the past. I mean, if you look at a game, okay, with the recent announcement of Resident Evil HD remake, right?
Okay.
It's about time that that game finally got off of the Nintendo-owned platforms. I mean, it's been on GameCube exclusively. It's been on the Wii exclusively with the Archives version. And it's nice to see that more people that never bought a Wii or never had a GameCube or never even played the remake can now actually physically play it, whether it be on PC, 360, PS3, or even PS4 and Xbox One. And it's a good thing. People are pissed that it's not coming to the Wii U. However, that's not to say they can still not yet announce it, just like what they did with Call of Duty last year and the year before with Black Ops 2 and Ghosts.
Okay.
And I'm also thinking, too, as well, Destiny, I think, will eventually make its way to the Wii U.
I doubt that. Right. That's an online game only, and I doubt it.
It's an online game only, yes, but I still do think that it has potential to come over. But there's a reason why they haven't announced it yet. And because two things. One, Destiny is a game that's never been in a franchise before. Call of Duty is, with the exception of the games, fucking hotcakes. The reason why they brought it over to the Wii U itself is because everybody knows that Nintendo third-party games sell like shit. We all know that. Everyone can admit to that. With Activision being nice enough to port these games over, thanks to Treyarch for doing it, fucking, they don't care how much money those versions sell because they make all their bank off the actual other versions anyways. They got 4 other consoles to do that shit, right? Destiny, on the other hand, though, it's still a cross-gen game coming out for PS3, Xbox 360, Xbox One, etc.
All right.
I think what Activision's going to do is they're going to wait and see when this game launches in September next month. I think it's coming out next month, right?
Yeah, September, yeah.
Yeah. Now, this is not fact. This is just me, fluff. Just put it that way. But I would, just to keep the conversation going here, I think what Activision should do is I think what they are going to do is I think they're going to wait and see how well Destiny sells across all 4 platforms. Make a big profit. Make a big profit. And since it is a new IP, I mean, when you make a new IP from third party wise, it's very difficult in this day and age because a lot of games can be.
It's going to do about 5 million, easy.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Sorry. There we go. That was getting annoying me holding that up. But I think what Activision's actually going to do is they're going to go off and they're going to wait until after the first or the last quarter of 2014, so September, November, December, I think maybe the middle of January around there. Okay. They're going to see what the profits are across all platforms, and if it sells exceptionally well, because Destiny, the way the hype is and the way people have been praising it since the beta and alpha beta, whatever you want to call it, it definitely has potential to be like as big as Call of fucking Duty. Okay.
Okay.
So if Destiny does sell extremely well in Activision's eyes, whatever you want to call it, I can see them actually releasing a version for the Wii U with like maybe the first expansion as a bonus, just for people who already own the fucking game, and release it for that said platform, and not give two shits on how bad or how piss poorly it sells. And I hate saying that because I hate the fact that third-party games that do come out for the Wii U don't sell like shit, given the fact that a lot of the ones that did come out for the Wii U so far were just fucking ports of last-gen games that everybody already fucking played.
Listen. Now here's the thing. Check it out now. All right, listen to you. Listen to what you're saying. All right, here's the thing.
It was just a theory. That was all.
Okay. Now you do realize. Now I can even though, like I said, Destiny's is an MMO. Nintendo's online infrastructure is not there. Okay.
Bungie claims that it's not an MMO, but clearly it fucking is.
Okay. Whatever the case, online game only. Okay. And like I said, Nintendo's online. The infrastructure, it's not there. Now I don't know how they can run a game like Destiny when you can't even add game. You can't even join session in progress on the Wii U. So I don't see how a game like that can be even suitable.
No, certain games can.
Okay.
I mean,
well, I'm just Call
of Duty, I can do it with Monster Hunter, but on top of it too, as well, don't forget about a game that came out that's only in Japan right now, and that's Monster Quest 10. That game has an online functionality that's completely on like an MMO.
But
it has all that crap like that and everything else like that. So.
Again, not even so much that Nintendo's console was totally a different architecture. So regardless of what, it's still going to cost money. It's Power PC, both the Xbox One and the PS4 x86. You got the cells, and you got I forgot what the 360 is. So if they're gonna still have to make a team that costs money to put the goddamn game on the Wii U, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, going back to what you originally said about the influx of gamers when once the Skylander comes out, again, like, is that what your console has come to? Is just preying on children to go out and buy this console? And I'm quite sure you bought a Wii U. You want to play with other adults. You want to play with other people, and I would have a problem with that you are catering more to that demographic than you are to me, because Nintendo doesn't get it. Kids don't buy video games. It's adults that buy the video games. Kids get games for their birthday and for Christmas. I know. But
there's also a lot of gamers out there who are my age. I mean, I'm 30 years old, and there's a lot of people out there who buy Nintendo-related products because the reason why they do it's not in the sense.
Let me finish. You're gonna see what I'm saying. Let me finish. All right. Okay. What I'm saying is what Nintendo doesn't get is that adults buy games all year long. We don't have to wait for our birthday. We don't have to wait for Christmas. But what I'm saying is their business mode is set up for the people that get games on their birthday, maybe spring. And where adults we buy games all year long. Like I said, a prime example. My son is about to be 18. I got him a Wii. When the Wii came out, was 7, 8 years ago. He wanted the Wii, and then when he went to school, all his friends were talking about playing Call of Duty. My son right now, so guess what? Even though my son's first console was a Wii, he's no longer a Nintendo fan. They lost that customer there. You understand that? Why? He wants to go play he want to play the battlefields. He want to do this. He want to be online. He want to talk to his friends. And even though those kids may go out and buy the Wii U, right? They might go out and buy Skylanders. 2, 3 years, they're not going to want to play Skylanders anymore. They want to play the next new Grand Theft Auto. They want to play this, and Nintendo is going to miss all just by them catering to that one demographic. Because once again,
but even kids nowadays are still playing Grand Theft Auto. I mean, you hear kids on Call of Duty every day.
I know that, but trust me, a kid that plays Grand Theft Auto don't give a fuck about no Skylanders, bro.
But there's also a lot of adults out there who do like Skylanders though, and like for collection purposes.
I don't know any, but I'm not negating. I'm not negating that. I'm not saying it. I'm not, bro. I don't, bro. Let me tell you something. God's honest truth. I swear to God. When I came to YouTube, bro, I stumbled upon this community. The first video I ever saw was Tokyo's, and I stumbled upon this community, and he was saying he did a video about, I think it was about the Xbox One and the PS4. Before we knew it, it was called an Xbox 720 or Xbox, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
PS4, and they weren't gonna be that much powerful than the Wii U, and the whole shit was he wrong about that, but. That was his video. That was the first video I ever seen. Like I said, I didn't even know what grown men that played the Wii. And I'm not knocking those who like it. Like I said, my wife, well, we weren't married at the time, but she's my wife now. She's my girlfriend. She bought me a Wii for, because I'm a gamer. She got me a Wii for my birthday, and she surprised me with it. And I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck is this? Like, I just thought it was the biggest fucking gimmick in the world. So I ended up giving it to my grandmother. And she ended up giving it to my grandson, my little cousin, and I've got a one for the church with Wii Sports. Like I couldn't satisfy my gaming needs on the Wii. So what I'm saying is that by Nintendo, you don't get me wrong, the Wii was a huge hit and successfully it was big. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that Nintendo may became a victim of their own success because here it is. You know, they say this one gimmick struck as far as the Wii. That struck gold for us. Let's come up with another gimmick as far as this tablet. And that's the way I looked at it because, again, they didn't have games that fully utilized me having this Wii remote. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just being real. Like, that's the way that I feel. But, and again, to say that again, that regardless, and I'm not knocking those who like Nintendo, fine. I mean, this is not even that type of video. Like I said, I do respect you for coming on the channel. We had a mature discussion. I was trying to fucking what's the guy name? Not Mr. Live. What's the guy name that does the video with Mr. Live? Oh my god.
Oh, I have no idea.
You slap. He does a video. He's a Nintendo fan. He did a video. Slap yourself with Triforce Johnson and them. I wanted to bring him on the show and talk to him. Like I want to know what is it about Nintendo, about the Mario Kart, about that I just don't get because I don't really have any. How should I say, interest in playing those games whatsoever. I think
there's also a lot of people out there too as well who don't have any interest in playing a lot of the third-party games.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I'm not negating it. I understand that what someone eats doesn't make someone shit. I understand that. You know what I mean? But again, what I'm saying is that I just I'm listening to you and you enjoy gaming. I just wanted to see what it is, and you said you consider it, and I'm telling you why I had a problem with calling the Wii U a next generation console because it can't do the basic shit that the 360 and the PS3 did. Now you saying from your aspect, you said, well, as long as it was better than the Wii, then it can do things, then that's fine. And I get that, and but it's okay to be better than the Wii, but you also should be better than the previous gen consoles.
It is. From a different standpoint, as far as features go, yeah, it's lacking, but features doesn't necessarily defy what a generation is. Okay. I mean, online's a feature.
Okay.
Voice chat's a feature.
What's the biggest feature of the Wii U? The tablet controller. So we can't say that. That's the biggest feature of the Wii U is the gaming tablet. So we can't say features.
It is actually, believe it or not, it is the controller. I mean, even don't get me wrong, there are tablets, but the thing of it is, though, it's.
Again, so you're saying what I'm saying.
That console standpoint,
you said that you can't say features. Determines a generation or what defines a generation. But the Wii U's biggest feature is the tablet controller. Am I right? Am I wrong? The Wii.
No, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
The Wii's biggest feature was the motion controller. Am I right? Am I wrong?
No, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that was the main selling point. That's
Yeah. Oh, again. So again, I'm not. This video here. Maybe we can do a 2-part series. You know what I mean? But this wasn't to make you feel the way that I feel or make you, you know what I mean? And it was just, I'm just telling you why I have a problem with calling the Wii U a next generation console because, again, when I think about, in terms of, I look at the Xbox One. And you look at the Xbox 360 and look at the PS3. Now, the Xbox One can, oh shit, I dropped all these morphine pills, fuck it. Look, the Xbox One can do, I like the fact that I can multitask. I like the fact that I can sit down and do my YouTube videos for my console if I choose to. I like the fact if I do something nice at my console, I can say, if I'm playing whatever game, Smash Bros, I'm just whatever game, pick a game, Twixel Ducks 14, I can say Xbox record that, and I can send that video clip to everybody on my friends list, or put it on the internet. I like shit like that. I like new stuff, so I get it. But I never with the Wii U, and like I said again, I'm not someone that's some blind crazy joke just running, just giving the Wii U a bunch of hate because it's not powerful. Again, I went out and spent about $700, $800 on that thing at launch, day one, when most Nintendo fans didn't even own it. I went out and bought that motherfucker day one, and I never got that new console feeling with the Wii U, and I was like, and I was like, damn, I was like, damn, and like, this is it. Like, this don't look no better, because I got tired of the PS3 and the 360. I've been in that generation since day one. I wanted some better graphics. I wanted the next new thing. That's why I bought, to be honest, had the Xbox One and the PS4 came out the same time as the Wii U, I wouldn't probably bought a gaming PC. I'm a console dude at all. You know what I mean?
Hurt too as well. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like the simplicity of consoles. I'm not knocking gaming rigs; they're fine. They have, you know what I mean? But again, I'm more of a console dude. I like to sit down and sit and play, boom, my friends, and I like that. You know what I mean? But anyway, like I said, bro, I appreciate you for coming on the show.
Not a problem.
Yeah, like I said, remember, like I said, man, at me. You have Skype?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah, I can add you after.
Okay, Zaire720. Shout you, give people the name of your show again. Give me a link to your channel. I can let everybody that's watching here live, to go subscribe to you. A mature Nintendo fan,
Yep.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, tell them the name of your channel. Your name of your channel. Your YouTube.
Sorry. Bearhugger29 is the name of my YouTube channel.
It's the name of his channel is Nuthugger29. You heard it here first.
Nuthugger. I like that one. That's the first I've ever actually heard that. I'll give you points on that one. That was good.
Listen, we out, man. I've been hanging out with the Wii U Widow for about an hour. Good dude, good brother. Support his channel, man. Subscribe to him, man. Thank you guys for watching the show. Bang bang.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Good show, man. Good shit, bro.